You spoke today when your speech out here in Castle Saunderson about paradise. It is a little piece of paradise, isn't it, here?
It's probably the most beautiful sight I've ever seen in my life. But you cannot own. Today we're sitting in the new Scouting headquarters, which we hope become an international centre for peace and reconciliation over time. And we're seeing perhaps about 15 acres of the site. There's about another 85 acres that is hidden behind those trees. Local people who are listening or watching will be able over time to come out and visit this site. It has potential, I think, for any number of things, including tourism, economic development of some sort. It could be for leisure. So we are undertaking a feasibility study at the moment to see how the site can be further developed. I know that sounds I suppose very futuristic on the day we're opening the existing one, but we do have to look to the future now, because this centre is just so wonderful. It would inspire one, as the site is indeed.
Yeah, I think one of the things that strikes me when you're being here is the idea of leadership and the scouts and all of that, and people. I think we're going to see the leaders of the future here. Do you think will we?
There's no question about that. If you, even the speakers today, most of the speakers, the ministers who are here were former scouts, and that's not a coincidence, because many of us who were unfortunately not part of the scouting movement might have had this notion that scouting is about camping and about tying knots and going on treks, etc. But it is about developing leadership and developing self-reliance. So it's so important for the future of our country that the scouting movements will continue. They're expanding at a great rate. That's the good news in Ireland, and scouting has never been stronger now, and we do as a country need that type of leadership at the moment.
That's fantastic. And just in relation to the entire area around here, I know you've mentioned kind of about the possibility. Belturbet is down the road, an absolutely fabulous town. A lot of people there will feel probably hasn't got the marketing that it deserves up until this point. Is there an opportunity for the surrounding areas, like the surrounding towns and such?
Yes, I think there is over time, there is a potential there. But it's like everything else. I think nobody is going to come along to any town or any individual business and put something on a plate. People have got to come here during the open days, look at the centre and decide, is there some idea that they have or some that they can perhaps build on. I think it will bring ultimately tourists to the area if we can get the tourism potential developed, and that obviously will have a positive spin-off for Belturbet. Obviously there will be food and that type of provision could be a part of the process here as well. But they're only just very early thoughts. I'm sure if you can get visitors to come here ultimately, go to Belturbet, go to the other towns in Cavan. That's our hope.
Finally, it's a great honour to have the President of Ireland here today to open this centre, isn't it? It's a fantastic honour for Cavan.
Yes, it's a great honour for Cavan to have the President here. I think that's a real signal about how important this centre is. He actually is on holidays at the moment, and for the first time ever that I'm aware of, a President has taken time out of their holidays, and he's also coming to the Fleadh Cheoil later on. So it's a great day for Cavan and a great day for the region.
Indeed, actually when he's in the Fleadh Cheoil later on, he's going to be honouring the volunteers. So again, we're talking about volunteerism, right? Yes,
indeed, and the whole scouting movement and volunteerism are two of the same kind, really. So he has a great focus on active citizenship and people contributing to communities, and we're very fortunate in this region to have such a great community spirit with people from all walks of life contributing to the local community, even if they're just giving a couple of hours every month. It's so important that we all do that, and I think the Scouts, if you talk about Scout leaders and the amount of time they put in, if you look at what's happening in the Fleadh. I had people working all night on campsites just purely for volunteering. 3,000 campers arriving yesterday into Cavan. It's just great to watch what people will do.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much, Jack.
I'm joined now by Heather Humphreys. Heather, are you enjoying the day here in Castle Saunderson?
Absolutely, this is a powerful day, Angie. It's really a lovely day. The weather has held up, which makes it even better, and it's a great day for the children and for the youth of the Scouting Ireland, and indeed for further afield for the young people of the country, that we have such a facility as this in County Cavan. It's really a good day.
Yeah. And were you involved in any of the procedure at all, Heather?
No, I wasn't involved. I was here to enjoy all of the activities that went on today, and I have to say I had a really good time, and the President made a tremendous speech there. It was very inspiring, and it's really a great occasion.
Yeah, great. Heather, thanks very much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Deputy Riley, this is a fantastic day for Cavan and for Castle Saunderson, isn't it?
An absolutely exciting and wonderful day, and what's particularly brilliant about it is that it's genuinely a north-south project, and that it's just on the border. And what's secondly of such importance is that it will involve the young people. And if young people come to work together, to live together, to play together, and engage in scouting activities together, those young people will grow up to be adults with a mutual regard and respect and friendship, and those friendships will grow. So I think this will be hugely important to building the peace and to continuing the peace. It will also have huge commercial implications for our county, and already has and will continue to have. It will boost the morale of people. I think this and the Fly make this an extraordinary week for Cavan. We're very proud, we're very happy. It's a good news day, it's a good day for Cavan.
And of course, the icing on the cake is the President of the country is here, isn't it brilliant?
Absolutely, and I think the presence of our President, who is himself an iconic figure and somebody who's so highly regarded, his presence is an indication of how this is viewed and its importance and how serious it is, and how wonderful it is in the context of the peace, in the context of our young people, in the context of the future development of the country.
I'm delighted to be joined here at the opening of Castle Saunderson by John Lawler, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Scouting Ireland. You're very welcome to Cavan, John.
Thanks very much, Angie. I feel very much at home here, and Scouting Ireland does now with Castle Saunderson.
Great. And of course you have Cavan relationships yourself, haven't you?
I do. My granny was from Cavan Town, a Cavan girl, Frances Kirwan.
Very good. And what's your involvement been with the whole project here in Castle Saunderson?
Well, I took over as Chief Executive with Scouting Ireland in March of this year, and that's when I first came in contact with the project. If I was to be honest and truthful, it was the giants before me that did all the work.
Okay. And it's a fabulous facility, and the sun is shining here today. It looks even better. So a great facility for Scouts.
It is. I mean, it's a facility for Scouting Ireland. It's a facility for Cavan and the whole region. It's also a facility for the world, because it's an international peace centre, and there will be a lot of international events centred on Castle Saunderson and its role as a peace and reconciliation centre.
Okay. And of course you've a lot of dignitaries here helping you to open the centre today.
Oh, indeed we have. We've ministers from north and south, and we have bishops here today, and those who contributed massively to the project, and also we have a lot of international guests.
Exactly. You have somebody, I think, from, is it Saudi Arabia?
That's right. Dr. Hamid is from the Scouts of Saudi Arabia. He's their international commissioner. So he's come today because he's a particular interest in the Messengers for Peace project, which this will be a centre for.
Okay, all right. Well, thanks very much for joining us, John, and the best of luck with the project.
Thanks, Angie.
Tá an dánaran go bhfuil me chuir tíocht chun an ascailtí figurí ana bhar Ceistán Sanderson agus middle of a winter support as an chuir sin. I am absolutely delighted to have been invited here, and I want to thank those who invited me to. I acknowledge the presence, and I'm honoured by it, of the ministers north and south, for their lordship, memberships of the different faiths, and particularly of so many people who work with young people and in scouting, and the young people themselves. It is a great occasion, as I have said in Irish, an Ocoit Kilurach as an occasion for celebration, to be asked and honoured to open the adventure facility in Castle Saunderson. And I am delighted. I want to thank the Chief Scout for his warm work and for his emphasis on the values that lay at the basis of scouting. And indeed his reference to the county manager, County Council, Jack Keys. I think that he is correct in saying it's only one of the many ventures that Jack Keys has given a headline in what county managers can do, and I pay tribute to him for that. But may I thank Jack Keys and Michael John Chinnick for their invitation to me some time ago to come and be part of this celebration. I listened with great care to what the Chief Countess said, and I so totally agree with him, and particularly in his emphasis on values. My own first presidential seminar, which it will receive submissions up to September 29, and is being supported by the scouting organisations who are among the people making submissions, emphasises how our future, very much a great contribution to it, will come from young people's creativity, their genius, their passion, and their sense of ethics, and the ethics of friendship. And I think as I listened to the Chief Scout, I thought very much of something else as well, about the difference in a shared facility like this it makes, as we try and pitch a tent together putting our different pegs and different shapes into the ground, that it is in this shared activity, the other is not seen as a source of fear, or the other as a source of some kind of irredeemable fault, but rather the things that can be done together. And I agree with very much as well the importance it is, and those who help young people are leaving a great legacy. People value for themselves and what they are, rather than what they're assumed to own or consume. In the inauguration speech I gave, made reference to a number of things that have now happily, I think, entered some of the parts of the discourse, and particularly inclusive citizenship, based on participation, equality, respect for all, and the flowering of creativity in all of its forms. And what's very interesting is to see that one of the things that often in my previous life as a public representative, and when a young person would have an accident, I often looked at what was written on the flowers that they brought to their dead comrades, and they would say things like, "You were always there for me." The importance of eliminating loneliness, exclusion, difference, rejection, marginalization is so important. And it's very marvellous, why I pay tribute to the Scouting organisations, is that the skills are not only valuable ones in relation to a long neglected and negative attitude towards nature. I think that nature, this beautiful setting that is here, gives such a great natural setting for what is possible in Scouting. And then you have all of the traditional values that come through the Scouting organisations, the development of skills that are personal and that will endure right through life. But maybe most importantly, the interpersonal skills of sharing and of friendship and of that ethic that comes from a respect for the surroundings, respect for the future, respect for the other person, and above all, the radical importance of accepting the dignity, the irreducible dignity of the other person. And I think in this beautiful setting, which is practical, not mere idealistic, as I might appear from what I've been saying, because it takes account of something we can't do too much about, in the short term at least, and that is the Irish weather. And the fact that there are facilities that are capable of being adapted to inside as well as outside is a great advantage. But particularly, I think in younger people, this jamboree of younger citizens, they will be the decision makers. Of one thing I'm certain, long past my own time and my own presidency, is that everything is being remade. Every form of knowledge, every assumption in economics and in society is being recasted and remade. And it will be better, all the better, when in fact it is from a basis of sound ethics of friendship and caring and of recognizing no difference. And I think that young people coming here are being given an introduction to the values of citizenship, and they will make Ireland proud, a kind of Irishness that is genuinely inclusive, and where peace is not written on a piece of paper, but peace is in the hearts and minds of people who know that what we have to share is too valuable and too precious, not only for our generation, but for all generations and generations to come, want to be made at risk in any sense by assumptions that are either narrow or threatening. To see in the other person not just the respect that one would expect oneself, but the difference in the other person and how much can be done together. I conclude by saying that I think it is that Scouting, becoming members of Scouting movements by the young people, enables people, young people, and now in the latest extension on to the age of 26, 27, to see, if you like, life beyond the immediate horizons. Of not being passive consumers in a life which is destroyed by being consumed in its consumption, but by being participating. Not just consuming games and new technology, but inventing new ones themselves, being proactive. I put it very early on, borrowing Raymond Williams' work, being the arrow, not the target. And now I am certain that young people are going to take charge of change, of what is going to, in terms of what is going to happen. And they will all gain so much from the ethics of collaboration, sharing, and the ethics of friendship that are there in Scouting. And all of this is happening as we close a chapter on the consequences of extreme individualism, where it was suggested that you should look at the other person in awe as to what they might choose to own or consume, when in fact what is there for all of us is the great joy and celebration of being able to treat that natural setting that we've inherited in such a way as we can hand it on, not damaged in any sense. And I've added all the different little pebbles and stones of friendship and difference in different ways to make the mosaic that will be our future life. I think that it is a great, I pay tribute to all those who have made this possible. I look forward as well when I come back and nearby and in the neighbouring county Monaghan, I'm holding one of my regional seminars on being young and Irish there. Already many of them around the country are oversubscribed. But I want to say this is an important milestone for Irish Scouting today. And we see too, we should never forget that when things happen, they don't come out of the sky. They are the fruits of hard work. And before the hard work itself, the work of those who are visionaries, who see, wouldn't it be wonderful if we did this? And this facility is added to other facilities all around our island, and may there be many more. And I think it's great to think of Castle Saunderson being described as a World Peace Centre, and through the World Scout Foundation's producing a Messengers of Peace programme, one of just 5 centres in the world. And may I take this opportunity of particularly thanking those and noting the presence and paying tribute to those who have come from abroad as part of the great scouting philosophy, reminding us all, in many cases, in Europe, for example, it is how we will live together as European citizens that matters, above all else. And in our world, how we will hand on our fragile planet to future generations to come, no matter where we are on that planet. I know that the cooperation and youth work in both parts of Ireland, north and south, has been growing and growing and growing. Agus cuireann sin glundar a machrí héin, agus bhlábháirsin rinneadh cócáirteachas a rís leis an iarracht a rinne gachtaine chun a cuir go mór leis an tógra seo. Tá sé an mar fine sin tréin iarrachtaí san na gásóg na héireann, agus Malin go mór an éagraíocht bríomhar in istetán is na líon éagrasarm ach a leanna sé agus mé sé fiosas na blianta tóla tíag. May I thank all of you for the warm welcome. I congratulate everyone here today, and I particularly wish health and blessing to all of the younger people who come here into the future. And I say that I am pleased indeed to be a patron of the Scout movement, because it is a movement that is as passionate and enthusiastic of bringing the kind of change into our world that will put the stamp of humanity on it, with all its great differences, making, as I have said, the tapestry of our future life in peace together. Garamila Mahaki, thank you.
Thank you. Good boy. Stand here. One back, right? My colleagues Joe and Heather, welcome to the
We share the natural setting, we share a human curiosity, and we share the ethics of friendship. And I think that all of that will be very, very important. The fact, as I said, that it is a shared facility, that it represents a future in which peace isn't just something that exists on paper, but peace is an ethic that is developed in people realising the dignity of the other person, seeing the other person as a source of joy and cooperation and things that can be achieved together. It's all very positive.
On to another highlight, just you're heading into the Fleadh now, I believe?
I am, yes. I was at the Fleadh last year, of course, and the Fleadh has been a great success in Cavan. I think that maybe, I suppose, I was particularly delighted to hear that this year saw something like several hundred arts events that, as it were, out from the main branches of traditional music. But I paid great tribute to them. The other side of it last year, I think I mentioned that what I was very pleased to see was the ease with which younger people were able to take part in a session, you know, because that's a very good, that has actually worked all over the country, that you now see people taking up the different instruments and sitting in, and there's a great generosity in some of the established and older musicians in helping people with technique, and helping people also with sharing airs and so on. And there's a great ethic, you know, in traditional music, where the person who's been at it a long time will always say where they picked up the tune and who gave it to them and where it came from. I'm a great supporter of the music, I have to say, but I think it's a very, very good idea, and people should learn from it, of branching out and including all of the others, including the schools, including the arts and culture and all of the other different branches.
Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, President Higgins, Ministers, public representatives, Chief Scouts from Scouting Ireland and the Northern Ireland Scouting Council, and all of their colleagues, Pat Colgan, Chief Executive from SCUPB, many others and friends, and in particular our Scouts themselves. The merging of President Higgins' wonderful words, and they were absolutely wonderful, with this setting and this building is indeed a vision of paradise. Could I thank the President very much for his inspirational thoughts, his deeply intellectual as well as practical approach to change, and to his inspiration that he has given many of us over past decades, and which he has reformulated and restated today, in particular for all of the younger people. I would commend any Scout to take up the writings of our President, to examine the initiatives that he has undertaken in his life, to look at things he has done in the areas of arts and culture, his views on the developing world, all of those driven by such a strong code of ethics and a value system. The value system that he espouses is very similar to the Scouting value system. It's one that places great emphasis on dignity and respect, on an understanding of diversity and an acceptance of other people. And his description in 5 words captured everything, and when he said, "The other is not a threat." So that is, I think, a lesson we all take away with us from today, because all discrimination and all prejudice arises from a lack of knowledge of the other. Can I commend the Scouting organisations here in parallel with what I'm talking on, the development of leadership, of self-reliance and of active citizens in our community. As we rebuild Ireland over the next number of years, it's important we don't rebuild it in the same way, and we don't rebuild it with the same values that have caused the problems to have arisen, and to which the President has emphasised. The values of Scouting are more relevant and more important now than ever as we move forward to once again make our country a great, great place to live. It is indeed at the moment. For this county of Cavan and for Cavan County Council, it's indeed a very, very proud day to have reached this stage in this project. The county has grown a great sense of confidence from projects such as Castle Saunderson, and the President will depart shortly to come into Flacchio na hÉireann in Cavan Town, and we would welcome him there again. And I would invite all of the attendances here to come in to a festival which is based on those same values, of being socially inclusive, of comradeship, of friendship, and of music and camaraderie. Your Excellency, President Higgins, this has been probably one of the most memorable days in the history of Cavan. We thank you very deeply.
I'm delighted to be joined now at Castle Saunderson by Pat Colgan, the Chief Executive of the SEUPB. Pat, you're very welcome back to Cavan again.
Thanks very much, Angie. It's lovely to be here.
And you brought some sun.
We did. We brought some sun today.
Great, good stuff. And what's this? This is the presentation that was given to you earlier.
This came as a complete surprise to me, but it's a presentation which is given by the Scouting Association, Cavan County Council as well. And basically it's represents the wind and the sails of the project. And I suppose it's a good way of representing what the peace programs are trying to do, is to provide wind for the sails of the people who have the great ideas on the ground. And the wind is made up of money, money and cooperation and partnership and support, and help the whole thing to actually happen. And I suppose, in fairness, to recognise the contribution that the EU has made since 2007 alone in Northern Ireland and the border counties, we will have spent 333 million on peace-related projects like this one.
330 million.
And if you add that to the programmes that we've been running since 1995, you're talking about a total of over €2 billion spent by the European Commission, British government, Irish government and the Northern Ireland Executive in this region on peace programmes alone. So this project is a small part of that. It's worth in itself €3.5 million. But it's one that we're particularly proud of, I have to say.
It's a superb facility. It's absolutely outstanding.
It's a stunning location, the actual design of the whole thing. But I suppose the most important thing and the most exciting thing about it is when you see the faces of the young scouts outside and their leaders, the adults, who are there. I mean, it's extraordinary. The whole voluntary dimension to scouting, for example, the amount of time and hours and months, years that people dedicate to it, and then the values that they're communicating to these young people. Fun, I've said it outside, fun, adventure, life skills, and I know as an early scout myself, I learned an awful lot back then, those days, which I kind of carried with me.
But I bet you didn't have a facility like this though, Pat.
Nothing like it. I can remember smells of canvas and bell tents and billy cans and campfires and things like that. But there's an abiding memory of, I suppose, just the relationships you built up with people you lived with, and having to get on with people, and the President referred there to this idea of the other not being something that you fear. I mean, I think that's at the heart of Scouting, and it's at the heart of our peace programs. It's about respect, respect for diversity, respect for cultural backgrounds, respect for the other, And I suppose that's why we're very, very happy with this project, But it's, as I say, in there with a family of other projects, and I would include in here, for example, the bridge that was built over the River Foyle in Derry, Londonderry there, which transformed the city of London there. We also have the Clonus Ernie sporting project in cooperation with the GAA, which is also a fascinating project, and many other projects like that throughout, Northern Ireland and the border counties.
And what involvement does Cavan County Council have? Does it administer the Peace 3 funding?
The role of local authorities is absolutely crucial. We wouldn't be able to do our work without them. We have 6 on the border regions, and in those the Chief Executive or County Manager is a crucial player in terms of making the thing happen. And the same in Northern Ireland, where we have 26 local authorities. They've organised themselves into seven clusters, where they work sort of together as groups. Now, in the case of Cavan, we have 2 kinds of relationships with them. One, They have worked and presented to us a multi-annual plan of action for building positive relationships at a local level and across the border, and we fund that. And they've had their first round of funding and now their second round of funding. In total, we'll spend about 50 million on that whole area of funding in the second phase. And then the other relationship we have with them is where they come up with projects like this, where somebody within the council says, here's a very significant project, would we be interested in funding it? And we go through a very, very complex and difficult and challenging application, assessment, approval process, and eventually, you reap the fruits when you see a day like this here today.
Of course.
So yeah, they have a key role to play.
And are there any big projects underway at the moment, Pat, through Peace 3 in Cavan?
In Cavan, well, the main thing in Cavan is the rollout of the second phase of their peace action plans, which over the next 3 years, they've had their first sort of round of funding from 2007 up to 2011, and now from 2012 up to the end of 2013, but rolling on into 2015, they will spend the second part. As I say, in phase 1 we spent about 50 million on that, in phase 2 another 50 million, so throughout the programme a total of 100 million, and Cavan would have benefited very significantly from that pot of funding. And there's a whole host of projects on the ground that are being funded, through that. Okay. And Jack Keys and Magella, who works for him, the programme manager there, they're the people who actually make that happen on the ground in Cavan.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Pat, we'll let you go and enjoy the rest of the day. Thanks for talking to us.
Talk to you, and thanks. Good.
Hello, I'm joined now by Reiko Suzuki here at the opening of the Scouting Centre in Castle Saunderson. Reiko, what's your involvement here with the Scouting organisation today?
Well, I came here to celebrate the Ireland Association's opening of this campsite, but also I came here to start the exchange programs with the Ireland Association and Japan for the Rover Scouts. That is because we are going to have the World Jamboree in 2015, and we need to develop the skills of the Japanese Scouts, international skills, including the language skill. Yeah.
So it's almost like a fact-finding mission for you to be here today?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And what do you think of the facility here?
That is quite wonderful comparing to our Scout Association of Japan's facilities. Ours are quite old, and then I've never seen this beautiful, large, and with full of nature facility in Japan. So I really admire the facility very much.
Great. And of course we got some lovely sun as well today, which improves everything.
It is.
Thank you, Reiko, and enjoy your trip.
Thank you very much.
I'm joined now by Tomás O'Reilly, who's the chairman of Fermanagh District Council. You're very welcome back to Cavan.
Thank you very much. Delighted to be here on such a sunny day.
Great. And what do you think of the facility here at Castle Saunderson?
Absolutely delighted to see this day finally arrive, and it has been one that we've certainly, as a neighbour living across the river on Derrycarib Island, looked forward to for many, many years, to see this wonderful estate brought back into life. And I think the scouting movement here in Ireland has done a tremendous job with this facility, and certainly look forward to seeing the usage then being put for many generations.
Okay, and I'm sure that you've had probably lots of links with the project as well.
Certainly I've been involved for quite some time, right back as far as Bernie O'Connor and the initial project that was to be here, and I'm absolutely delighted to see that we have came to this day and the President down opening the facility, and now what we want to see is the facility well used.
Okay, and is there a big scouting audience as such in Fermanagh?
Certainly a big scouting audience in Fermanagh and the neighbouring counties here, but it is only one aspect of it. The other aspect is to get people from all over Ireland that wouldn't have come to border counties to come up here, see what is going on in the border counties, and also, as the President said, to see this as a centre for peace and reconciliation. I think that's very, very important.
Okay, and I think one of the main speakers as well today was the Scouting Association of Northern Ireland, so very much a lot of cross-border links.
Absolutely, and not alone this centre to be used by all sides and all scouting movements, but also to be used as a centre where people can come and work on the transformation of this country that is happening day and daily. And I think that's very, very important, to physically come to the border counties that suffered so much throughout the Troubles.
Great. Okay, thanks very much, Thomas. Enjoy the rest of the day. Delighted now to have all the way from Saudi Arabia, Dr. Hamad. You're very welcome to Cavan.
Thank you very much.
And you're here from the Saudi Arabian Scouts Association.
Yes, I came here to see the opening of this center, which is one of the 5 scout centers in the world, and it's been supported, part of it from Saudi. There is a program called Messengers of Peace program, which is our King Abdullah. He supported this program, and he said the scouts are messengers of peace. So I came to see this camp.
And what do you think of the facility, Dr. Hamad?
Actually, the facilities are fantastic. I noticed that there are trainings, about 5 training centers here, and accommodation for participants, and kitchen, and green area, and the lakes. Actually, it's a very nice place for camping and for doing some workshops.
Yeah. And we even have sun for you today.
Yes, of course.
You thought you were coming to the rain in Ireland from Saudi Arabia, but we have sun.
Oh yes, that's.
And are you travelling around Ireland now for a few days, or is this the main purpose of your visit?
No, this is the main purpose for my visit, and I will go home. Tomorrow is our Eid. Today is the last day of Ramadan, and tomorrow is ours. So
a big celebration for you tomorrow.
So we have 2 celebrations: this event and tomorrow our celebration.
Okay. Well, salam alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
And thank you for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Hamad.
Thank you, Angie.
I have John Geoghegan with me now, who's the director of the World Scout Foundation. John, you're very welcome to Cavan on this lovely sunny day.
Thank you very much indeed. What a fantastic day.
Isn't it? And what's your involvement here today?
Well, I'm originally a scout from Ireland. I used to work in the Irish Scout movement, and learned all about making peace by going to Northern Ireland at the age of 16, linking up with scouts there. Now, we have a program around the world called the Messengers of Peace. It's supported by King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia and my boss, who's the King of Sweden. And what we've done is we've designated this centre as one of the centres of Messengers of Peace around the world, and that is, we hope that this is going to be running training courses in peace and dialogue between different communities. And what we're hoping that it's not just going to be used by scouts from Ireland, but also imagine scouts from Palestine, Israel coming here to a wonderful centre like this, in an atmosphere like this, with people who've got experience at breaking down barriers and being able to come and learn about how to do things differently.
And this centre, John, is one of only 5 in the world of this scale.
Exactly. We're looking at Singapore, Panama, Cairo, and in Jakarta as well. And what we're hoping is that here we'll be able to use it as a place that people can come as like a safe haven.
And have you visited the other 5 centres?
Yes, of course. But this is one of the first, and actually doing and specialising in the training. So they've designed training. The first course is going to be here in November, and we're going to hopefully put all of that kind of learning online, so that it's not only going to be a place that people can come to, but people can learn from. So there'll be online learning and so on linked to the centre as well.
And just speaking of online, do you have a website address that you can tell our viewers about?
Scoutmessengers.org.
Scoutmessengers.org.
20 million young people, 161 countries, all doing activities in their community as messengers of peace. So whether they're helping with health, social, real peace, or environment, something that helps the community, we regard as peace. And every young person involved in that gets a dot on a Google map. Just visit a site, you'll be impressed with the stories.
Great, John, thanks very much for speaking to us. John Geoghegan.
Thanks very much indeed.
I'm joined now by PJ Fitzpatrick, who's the district manager here with Coillte. What's your involvement here today, PJ?
Well, I'm involved being the nearest neighbour here to the Scout in Ireland. I'm part of the owner of the forest here right beside and right round Castle Sanderson Estate, and we have always referred to it as Castle Sanderson Estate. So when this venture started initially, there was only one access point in through Northern Ireland, so they approached Coillte to try and get access in through the main forest here, and I think it has been a well worthwhile effort to actually come back in the main entrance, because I think the entrance now is fantastic entrance in through the forest into this project here, so I think it all adds to the quality of what this is going to be for the Scouts of Ireland. So Coillte is glad to be associated with it in that small way by facilitating access in here to it.
And are you from the locality yourself, PJ?
Yes, I'm a Ballyhaise man originally,
So you know that this place has been derelict for a long time, until now?
Oh, very much so, yeah. And it used to, when you come in here and see the place lying idle and one thing another, it was sad to see it lying idle for so many years and nobody knowing really what was going to happen it. And down through the years, the number of times that the scouts came talking and discussing about trying to get this up and going, and it did take a good while to get this off the ground, and a lot of effort on a lot of people's part. And today it's great to see it, and I hope the Scouts of Ireland enjoy this immensely right down through the years, and I think they should get immense enjoyment out of it.
Well, it's a fine facility. I think it's one of only 5 in the world of this scale.
Yeah. And not alone that it is actually bordering on the forest, I can imagine that the Scouts will be out playing in the forest as well down through the years, and Quilty look forward in partnership working with Scouting Ireland at all times, being our nearest neighbour here now and that type of thing. And I hope it does develop in the way that it is anticipated as well, and even expand much further.
Great. Thanks for talking to us. PJ Fitzpatrick, District Manager with Quilty. Thanks, PJ. To Michael Shinnick, who's the Chief Scout with Scouting Ireland. Michael, you're very welcome to Cavan.
Very much, thank you. Much appreciated.
The day went very well?
It did. I mean, the weather was kingpin to the whole thing. We were able to do everything outside. And I think those above look down on us, certainly, yes.
Great. And can you just explain to our viewers a little bit, what is Scouting Ireland?
Well, Scouting Ireland is actually the largest youth movement in Ireland. Scouting Ireland as such is a 32-county organisation. It's a youth organisation for both boys and girls. It was formed from 2 former Scout associations, Scouting SEI and Scouting CSI. About 10 years ago, we amalgamated, came together and formed one new organisation. And I must say that since then we're growing year on year around 4 or 5%. And at the moment we've close on 45,000 members and 8,000 adults. So it's unique in that sense. It's a uniformed organisation, and in the main we live by a Scout law, which it's all about active citizenship and about loyalty, trust with one another. And in the main it's using what we would call a Scout method, where young people are empowered and they work together and they learn from one another by doing things.
Okay. And who funds the organisation?
The government funds us quite a lot, maybe 50%. And outside of that then our own membership would fund it as well.
Okay.
So it's probably 50-50, I would say the fund works out.
And do you have a lot of volunteers, Michael, in the organisation?
Well, as I said, we've 8,000 adults, they're all volunteers. And really Scouting is about, we'll work if you've adults involved. And I keep telling people that Scouting is a mathematical formula. It's A plus P plus T will give you Scouts, young people. The A is the adult, the T is for training, and the P is for program. And Scouting Ireland has a great program. We've got a great training facility, and the adults come in, we train them, and the young people will come in on board then.
And what do you think of the facility here in Castle Saunderson today?
This is very unique. It's a once-of in that it was a greenfield site. In the main, campsites evolve and gradually build. This is unique in that it came from the grassroots up. As well as that, it's unique in that it was a partnership between Cavan County Council and Scouting Ireland, and to that end I must compliment Cavan County Council, Jack Keys and his team for the work that they did, because it would not have happened without them.
Jack's Army, as they're affectionately known.
I can see why.
And you had a great attendance here today as well. I mean, you had obviously the President opened the whole thing, so I mean that was a great achievement.
That's true. President Higgins is our patron as well as President of Ireland. With people here from the UK, from Japan, from Saudi Arabia. And right across all the 32 counties are represented. So unique, yeah, very unique. Yeah.
And are the children delighted with this facility? They can't wait to get in and get at it?
Well, I think that's it. I think the grass has to wait maybe another year before we can actually pitch tents properly on it. But the indoor accommodation is available from here on in. And not alone within Scouting, but outside Scouting we see a use for this facility.
Great. Michael Shinnick from Scouting Ireland, thanks very much for speaking to us.
Speaking
now to another member of Scouting Ireland, Ruth Wiley. Ruth, you're very welcome to Cavan.
Thank you very much.
What's your role in the organisation?
Basically, I'm Programme Commissioner for Venture Scouts. That's the age group of 15 to 17-year-olds in the country. So I would look after their programmes of development and support of that nationally.
Okay, and that's boys and girls?
Yeah, it's a mix. Yeah, it's been a mix for a long time.
Okay. And what's involved in the programme?
There'll be a lot of elements of the programme. Scouting Ireland brought in a new programme. There one programme not too long ago. So it's just making sure and trying to help that it's delivered on the ground accordingly with what we set out to do in Scouting Ireland.
Okay. And who helps you? Is it volunteers?
Yeah, everything we do is volunteers. I'm a volunteer myself. I've been a member of Scouting since I was probably about 9 years of age and just come up through the ranks. I work with a lot of young people. I work with youth reps as well, so that's people that are elected from that age group by their peers. So I'd work with them on teams in relation to communication or identity or anything.
Great. And what do you think of the facility here in Castle Sanderson?
The facility is unbelievable. I really do think that it's going to offer a lot to any young person that does come here and use the facilities, especially with the cross-border link as well. It's going to be vital and very important. I think any young person that's running around today seems to be really enjoying it, and the weather is helping that a lot as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the children just can't wait to get in.
Yeah, I know. They just want to get in and see the place.
Yeah. But want to get the adults out and get them in.
Exactly. They want to have a bit of fun, and that's what it's here for. It's for them.
Great.
So it's going to be hopefully very good.
Great. Thanks a million, Ruth.
Thank you.